Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dad's listening to Tomcats. Talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. Get some weed in now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome in to another episode of the Penny Bloom Podcast. It is I, Colton Robertson, and today I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
What up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. Today, we continue our 52-year journey through film. I think this marks halfway through July, if I'm not mistaken. And it's 1998 that we're covering. 1998's The Truman Show. And this one's a special one for me. You know, it's one that I didn't discover until later on. And I mean, later on in my life, relatively. I'm still quite a young man. But my senior year in high school, my creative writing teacher showed this in class. And I was like immediately taken. I was like, oh yeah, this is one of my favorites ever.
So you got it kind of broken up, or did you get it all in one fell swoop?
I got it in two because I think we had like long periods when they were showing it, but
okay.
I got it in two. So, but yeah, it's one that it's one of those ones where I had to go home and immediately check it out on my own.
Oh yeah. I had my first watch of all time yesterday, and I can say it was quite amazing. I knew a little bit before going in. All I knew, it was kind of like people used to be like, I guess when talking of Westworld and shows or things of similar nature, people would always bring up the Truman Show. And I didn't understand why, but I just knew it was something to do with reality and blah, blah, blah. That was it. So I basically knew nothing, and I was going in blind.
It's a great one to go blind into, man. Getting that unfolding before you. Let me lay the groundwork real quick. This is The Truman Show, released June 5th, 1998, written by Andrew Niccol and directed by Peter Weir. And if that sounds familiar, it's because that was also our director for Dead Poets Society.
Would you look at that? Wow.
Quite the bangers he's got under his belt there. Those are only a couple of his behind the camera roles as director. He's done a lot, and these are just two of my favorite additions, Dead Poets and The Truman Show. And frankly, I'm hard-pressed for a movie which ends in a way that I'm more satisfied with than this. And the only one that comes to mind, we talked about it off mic, The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, yeah.
You end in a place where you're like, fuck, yeah, yes.
Yeah,
fuck,
definitely,
yes.
Not a movie that you're leaving, well, you do leave crying, but not in a cry, like a bad cry. It's just that satisfying. I had that one tear roll down my face, whenever the door.
The music, bro?
Oh, he finally got to the edge. He got to the door, and I'm like, he's making it. He's going all the way.
And I don't know if you remember when we discussed like a couple months back, you were deciding if you wanted to put movie posters up, like what movie posters you wanted to put up on your wall. And I was like, The Truman Show's got some pretty cool posters, and we came across a couple different ones, and one of them was him walking up those stairs.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, you're gonna want that one. And I was like, it's gonna
go so perfectly. I have three that are going up on my wall already. That I have two in possession. One is on its way. One is A New Hope, Star Wars, classic, got to go up there. Two is The Batman, Robert Pattinson.
Hell yeah,
going up there. Three is a kind of like a Spidey comic book cover-ish. Okay. That's a poster. And then the fourth is now confirmed to be this one right here. I was going back and forth between the building with his face on it, and the one where him walking up the stairs, and I think just aesthetically.
The one of him walking up the stairs. Those shots of him are the most beautiful in the whole movie. You know, it doesn't get better than that.
But it's coming. It is on its way. Little late birthday present for me and my mom. I asked my mom for some posters, and she was waiting on the fourth one. And
hell yeah.
I told her I had to wait off for this movie just to see. I was pretty sure
it was the one.
For how you were laying it out for me.
I didn't want to hype it up too much, you know. I know if there was any movie along this ride that I might have, I definitely turned our sights too early on and was like, that's one we're going to be ready for, you know. I'm so excited we're here, because this is just one of my favorite movies of all time. And, you know, Jim Carrey in that leading role. We've covered a few Jim Carrey movies now with our 1994 run there with Dumb and Dumber, The Mask, and Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. But none of those roles quite called for the emotions he tapped into here in The Truman Show. I mean, this put him on full display as quite the actor, not just quite the comedian, you know?
Yeah, and he still had his mannerisms to him. He still had the facial expressions. And
a couple of improvisations that only Jim Carrey would be doing. You know, those scenes where it's him looking in the mirror. That's him. He's
alien drawing like the space, you know, like
astronaut.
Saying, like, oh, he's back to his old self. Great, you know, and it's just him putting on a
playing
show.
Them. Yeah. He's like, now I'm playing the character. You know, you made me the character, so I'm gonna play it. And let's get into the story of it all. You know, we got Christoph, the creator of this television show, played by Ed Harris, who we obviously love via Westworld. And if you've seen Snowpiercer, he's pretty awesome in that as well. And a great many things. Ed Harris is quite the accomplished actor, but those just happen to be a couple of my favorite roles of his. Along with this one, Christoph being the father figure, quote unquote, to Truman Burbank. First child to be officially adopted by a corporation. And when all that comes together for you, you know, I remember how it felt the first time I watched it. Whenever you're like, you know, it's a television show, you know, you see people watching it and you're like, oh, okay, yeah. But when they go out with it and they're like,
we built the largest set ever constructed. It's the second thing that can be seen from space. Oh, it was 5 unwanted pregnancies, and they chose this one because you just fit. I was like, huh? You like I was, huh? Like
so dystopian, man. So dystopian. And you know, like that's what's interesting too is Peter Weir actually called for this to the original conception of it was that Truman existed in an alternate remake of New York City. And the director was like, yo, we can't do that. It'll get too sci-fi, like people, like it'll be too dystopian at that point for people to go like, oh yeah, like he's running around New York and it's all controlled around him and everything. But
I mean, the thing is like, this doesn't seem that unrealistic is the thing. Like if someone had I feel like a billionaire could do this. Like,
oh, I think it's shocking that this movie exists and it hasn't happened yet.
I just think ethically, you know, maybe that's why it just hasn't happened, which is,
oh no, certainly, you know, I wonder if
I hope that's the reason, you know, that it's just
and you know what's absolutely sad and what's interesting about all the audience perspective of like every time we went to the people watching the show, it's like everyone's a hypocrite, you know, everyone's a hypocrite. The viewers, Laura Linney's character Meryl, Marlon, his best friend, like
the last thing I do to you is lie. Oh,
Oof,
and
man, you've been lying to me my whole life.
And he could, I think, like, was it just me or did he actually struggle to say that a little bit? Like, I feel like he was actually feeling for him.
Oh yeah, there are a couple points in this movie where the people who are around him, witnessing it happen, go, "God damn,
this is too far."
Yeah, like there one really small example that's like one of my favorites in the movie is the bus driver. Whenever he stalls the bus, and he's like he's moving the gear back and forth and everything, and he's looking up, and then everyone gets off the bus. He stands up and he goes, "I'm sorry."
Oh.
And then just like walks off the bus, and it's like, fuck, God damn it. Oh man, it's one of those. It is a heart-wrenching story all the way up to the end, you know, like there's a taint of just devastation because of how everything's fake. Everything's a facade. And you know he's living within his own little zoo. He's the main attraction. It's like,
the
God
fact
damn
that he rips out different parts of the face of magazines to try to reconstruct Vivian's face. Like, and he keeps going back to it, and every time he looks at it, it cuts to Vivian, and it's just her, I
love the Sylvia Truman dynamic. They were
oh yeah, why did Sylvia, right?
Sylvia.
Why is this say? Am I just
maybe Vivian was her character in the reality?
Interesting. Yeah, I'm terrible with names in movies, so this is why I always have IMDb pulled up for every movie to look at characters' names. And yeah, Vivian. Sylvia, because I remember like he on the phone, like talking to the Fiji person. He's like, Sylvia.
No,
like
Vivian was a different. Vivian's a different woman. Natasha McElhone.
Oh, Lauren was her.
Lauren. That was her name.
Oh, that just looks a whole lot like her in this picture. That's why I assumed it was just her.
No, yeah, I feel you. I don't remember this character, wow. Vivian.
But I remember, I know her from Lucifer on Netflix. Like that's how I don't know if you've seen that, but I like instantly, like there were so many people. Like you have
Laura Linney, Ozark.
Yeah, on Ozark. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Well, I instantly recognized, Westworld. And I was like, oh, sick. That's how we opened the movie, with him. And I'm like, oh, let's go. And then I'm like, oh, Ozark. Oh, Lucifer. Oh, Jim Carrey. Like, oh, this is such a great cast. Like, this is so much fun.
It is. It is so good. And I love the little product placements, 24-hour program. So they do ad reads on the show. Like whenever she comes home and he's tending to the garden, and she's like, "You should try out these new shears." And he's like, "That's cool." He's like, I really couldn't give less of a fuck. Why do you do this?
And I always wondered, I was like, how couldn't he tell from that? But like the thing is, that's all he knows. Like he doesn't know that that's an ad placement, that, and like I kept like that. That's what kept blowing my mind every time.
Oh yeah,
is like realizing that like from birth,
there are things in this reality that are not like our reality and are doctored to his reality. Like the moon. Moon doesn't move; it's always in the sky, right there in that one spot. And that's just how the solar system works for him.
He doesn't know any better. He just doesn't.
God, and to instill a trauma of water in him at a young age, so that man.
I mean, they really controlled every aspect of his life. Like, and the thing like that kept getting me is like, I about texted you in the middle of this, and I'm like, "Yo, you're real, right?" Like, like you're really,
right.
And I'm like, this is real, like this ain't the same thing.
You're not
going
playing
on
me.
Here,
you're not playing me
or whatever. And and then I'm like looking at the movies that are coming up. We got The Matrix, coming up next. And I'm like, dang,
we've got this liberatory rhetoric in, the Shawshank Redemption, Truman Show, and especially in The Matrix, to a whole other revolutionary level with that on a grand scale, not just an individual scale. This is a good stretch here over the last couple of years, and when we're getting at that sort of freeing yourself, freeing your mind. And I love Christoph being the antithesis to it, like trying to be like, even at the end, telling him like it was his last hurrah, like trying to be like, yeah.
Well, I mean, he had no other choice there. He's about to leave. He has to.
Absolutely.
Has to explain everything, and
it was as good an argument as you could present in that moment. And if he hadn't gone, say something, you're on television, maybe it like that kills that moment, and it's immediately like, oh yeah, you don't care how I feel in this reality. You want me to say something. I'm on television. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing. There's nothing more to it than that. You don't care about anything that happens to me. I'd rather have full autonomy out there than be controlled in here. And that's just a simple and great message in this movie. And Christoph's obviously got this God complex. We even get him speaking over the speakers at the end, and him looking up at the sun like. Like, wow.
I mean, it's so awesome seeing watching Westworld and him being kind of part of the game, or he was part of it, but now seeing him as the Ford, or as the Ford figure, as the Arnold, as the creator, was just super super cool. And I just constantly was thinking back to Westworld, like as I'm watching, and I mean he did so well. And I mean, I obviously can't think of any better casting for Westworld other than, pulling from this movie. I'd say it's a pretty obvious influence from
the influence this movie has on this sort of this idea, I think, to WandaVision. That was like a very obvious one where it was like, oh yeah, WandaVision watched the Truman Show and was like, well, let's do that. Like when the light falls out of the sky, like the colorful helicopter in the black and white universe. Like, I think like there's a couple that I feel like were just direct homages in WandaVision to the Truman Show. And
I even texted you during my watch, and I'm like, yo, this town center kind of just reminds me of Westview. Like just I mean, the buildings, it was obviously different. There were like skyscrapers and stuff in this one, and Westview didn't have many of those, but I guess not really skyscrapers, but like bigger buildings, I guess. But like this, the town center, like just eerily was just somewhat similar. I don't know, the lawn, like the grass, this like park in the middle of this, it just reminded me of Westview. And I'm like, man, like just thinking of all the influence that this movie had. I mean, it's
and I think there's something to the idea that they wanted to, as far as Christoph and Wanda are concerned, they wanted to have the area be the suburban, comfortable, you're going to be fine and happy here. Everything's jolly good, and it's not, it's all the beginning montage where Marlon's like, it's not fake. It's just controlled. And it's like, but isn't that a contradiction? Like, if it is controlled, it can't be real.
What, like, movies that make you ask these questions, like, there's not many movies that get you to question reality and question, a situation like this. This just doesn't happen, in day-to-day life. Like, and this is like so up my alley. It's unbelievable. I seriously can't believe how long it's taken me to see this movie. But now I know that this will be a comfort movie of mine. I will go back to this movie so much.
And it's that ending, man. Without him making it out, this movie's all for naught. He has to make it out, or else it's like, oh God, come on. Like, and I loved that in the viewers. The viewers of the show were the same as us. They wanted him so badly to make it out of there. but I don't think it's something they knew they wanted until it was a possibility.
Until it happened. Everyone cheered.
Yeah,
At the bar,
everyone it was he has to keep doing this. But that's the thing. If you're watching the show, as soon as he starts to go, I want to go somewhere. Don't you go, please, you got to do something to let this man out, because now it's really bad. It was already bad. It was already immoral. But now that he wants to travel, now that he wants to go places, now that he's I need to get out of here, now it's really, really bad. There's just different levels to this shit. And
God damn. And you have the lines of you're gonna kill him and you don't even care. People are in the room
he was born on television.
Yeah. His right hand man, saying that's the dude that basically controlled almost everything, took every command. He was even, you're gonna kill him? Are you kidding? You really don't care? And he was just focused on his creation. That God complex had. That's just what it all is. I can't imagine creating something like that being the biggest show in the world. The world is literally captivated by this one thing, and the world almost revolves around it. But then you see the end, and it's all right, what else is on? What else is on TV? The two cops that are chilling there, and it's just
that's another thing that lends it to being it's obviously a commentary on not just the creators and the corporations who control media and stuff, which this is certainly a critique of. It's a critique of consumerism and being yes, give me all of this. Give me all of this. As soon as it's over, it's all right, well, what's next now? What else are we going to do? What are we on to next?
The biggest thing that could have happened in their time, in your lifetime,
the television event of the history.
They even said, when he started to no, and people caught on and they cut the air for the first time, they cut transmission. They even said this is the largest our numbers have ever been, and we're just showing nothing right now.
Exactly.
So it was already big then, and then him actually leaving. The whole world was watching. And just definitely a satisfying ending, but hearing, all right, what else is on? It's not satisfying right away, and you don't actually see him and Sylvie get together, but it happens.
Oh,
obviously,
yeah.
It happens, but it's satisfying in the sense that this movie wasn't just to be a movie. There was a point to this.
Oh, absolutely.
Completely.
It's not just a satisfying story where he liberates himself. And if you go back a couple pictures, I know you're scrolling through the IMDb here, how's it going to end? That little movement, not a movement, but the question, because if this television show is on, I tune in for the simple reason, how the fuck does this end? Or maybe I don't not regularly, but every once in a while I'll be what if it ends today? I don't know. You never
does
fucking
it go
know.
to him being 90 and dying of old age? Does it go to him, literally anything could happen? Does he die of a disease early? Does he die of a car crash, an accident? Does he actually figure it out like he does here? And it's funny whenever he sees the button and he's I wonder the same thing too, and he's oblivious, and he's don't we all? Or don't we all wonder, and it's just oh man, the end, his innocence was so just devastating to watch.
Well, and it was, Christoph had a perfect quote for that. The interviewer is why do you think it wasn't until now that Truman had never come close to discovering the true nature of his world? And Christoph was well, we accept the reality of the world which we're presented. Simple as that. And it's if you're only ever presented one thing, why would you ever question it? Especially with all the propagandic manipulation they commit to keeping him on the island and not letting him leave. And I want to be an explorer. Too late. It's all been explored.
Yep. Look at this map. It's all filled out. You got nothing left to do. A plane, a lightning strike through it. This could happen to you. The nuclear
at a travel
leak,
agency.
the nuclear leak, a road randomly catching on fire. All the ways they try to keep him in, and I love that. Whenever he took, Meryl, is that her name? Yeah, Meryl, and he's like, "Oh, I'm just being spontaneous,
Somebody help me! I'm being spontaneous."
And man, it was.
Now that is a beer.
And the three. It's a knife, a grater, and a peeler all in one. And then it
coming
eventually
back up to be the potential murder weapon. And I think it was so funny whenever he's beginning to question it, and he looks at that photo of Meryl and him on his wedding day, and I'm like, really, Meryl? Like, that's you, an actor, and you out here crossing your fingers during this? Like, you got to be on your shit a little bit more. And I also thought it was funny though that he had to pull out the magnifying glass to see it.
The only like kind of like whenever they were looking through the scrapbook and all the old pictures and stuff, and like he goes by Mount Rushmore, he says it looks a little small, doesn't it? Like, that was the only part where I'm like, how does he know that though? Like, because he doesn't know any well, I don't know. That was the only part like where I'm like, wait, like, I guess maybe I'm just not putting something together. And maybe
maybe that's something that happens pretty early on in the movie, doesn't it?
Well, no, it's after. Yeah, he's becoming suspicious of things. He sees the elevator, the false door.
Okay, so it's after he's seen his dad and stuff.
Yeah, and then he's like, seems a little small, doesn't it? So I guess maybe, I mean, it's just a story. Like, obviously we know that that was not Mount Rushmore, and it's just an easy way to be like, point it out, whatever. But like every single thing that he said, like every single little thing that he couldn't, just didn't know. And I'm just like going back to like, oh, that's all he knows. But then I'm thinking even bigger, like, wait, this is all I know. Like, I have zero clue if I'm in a pod chilling and being harvested for a D battery, or whatever.
Exactly.
And I mean, you know what? I'd rather not think about that. I'd rather just continue living on like I'm living on.
Hey man, because... I feel pretty alive,
Yeah, I feel pretty conscious.
I think I make my own decisions until I'm presented with the reality that I don't. I'm gonna go on thinking that I do, just because that feels like the healthy thing. Another one of my favorite parts of this movie is, you mentioned him and Meryl going out whenever he picks her up in the car, and he's like, you know what? Let's go. Can't well drive to Fiji. They circle around that for a while, and then he pulls out, and all that traffic comes out of nowhere, and he's like, blocked at every turn. Beautifully synchronized, don't you agree? And I love that this scene like displays his like, he knows something's wrong, but he has no understanding of the scope of it. Like she goes, "You're blaming me for the traffic," and he goes, "Should I?" And it's like, he's thinking right now, you're the only person you're like the person I'm closest with. I'm with you every day. Like, you have to be doing something. You would have to know if something was happening. And he's like, "Should I?" And he's like, "All right," backs it on out of there, comes back around, and the road's clear. Everything's fine. And he's like, "It's like magic, no cars, same road." Oh man.
I wonder, like whenever Meryl's like, "You're scaring me," she grabs the knife peeler grater, and then eventually he takes it from her, and like then
do something.
Oh my god, I literally
Marlon,
thank you. God, I'm so bad with names. I guess I've only watched it one time.
You've only watched it once. I've seen this a few times.
And then he breaks down. He's like, "Wait a minute. Like, maybe I am going crazy. Like, for a second, he's like, maybe this is all in my head. Like, I almost killed my wife, or I was like threatening my wife with a knife grater peeler.
Ready to peel her.
And like, it's just like, so like, how I don't know. Like, to start this, I feel like the crazy thing is like from birth, like people had to immediately be in the camp of like, this is wrong. Like, this is a
there
bait.
always
like,
had to be an anti-movement. You know, there always had to be some other sort of entity. And, you know, Sylvia is spearheading, it seems, a movement of some sort to free Truman. And I think it's really cool that they did acknowledge that in some capacity. It would have been interesting to see just how big that movement was. You know, like we hear from the guy doing the interviews, like, very vocal minority. But, you know, in an interview with a guy like Christoph, like, we can't trust anything being put on the television at that point. You know, like, Christoph tries to kill this guy on TV. Like, there's no reason to believe him. There could be a lot more people outside of the studio making money who are like, yo, we should not be doing this.
It's insane. Like, the line of, you know, how does it feel to be to have the wealth of like a small city? And he's like, well, it takes a small city to put this on, you know. And it's
he
like,
said
just
country.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that's true. And like realizing the scale of this, you know, like every person that's there every day, like that's also their life. So basically, like Truman is not the only prisoner there.
No, the other ones are just institutionalized.
Like, they know it, like they're in on it. They know that there is an outside world, and also I guess they're less of a prisoner, you know, than Truman is. But still,
but
like,
they're there by choice.
That's true. That's
no,
true.
no. Sure, it's true, but they chose that life.
Damn.
Which is like,
so
I think it grants something to Christoph's perspective, you know, for that, like,
if Marlon has been friends with him for that long, like, has he truly been friends with him for that long? Or
I think
they
had a different child actor, and he said he went off and saw the world, and then he came back and stuff. I'm assuming he came back as a different guy.
That's right. I forgot about that. And like the father disappearing.
No,
yeah,
I've been trying
that
to...
one. Amnesia. You know, like they have like explanations.
Brilliant
for everything.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And the
master stroke.
What was the scene that he was directing that everyone was like, oh, master, like just beautiful?
It was his reuniting with his dad.
Yeah, that's right. The directing of it, you know, like.
And that's what I had to you had to give it to him. Like, it's great. Like, it's obviously like it's written and it's a movie that we're watching. So like it had to play out well, but, like as a director of reality television with a character who doesn't know he's in TV, to have created such a person with, such, keen dramatic timing, is pretty incredible, you know. And he's like, I'm so glad you're back. And like the camera pans and he goes, Dad, and they hug, and it's like, oh yeah, like I love that was just like it was like that was a good scene for like showing how talented the people running the show are, you know, like they, for as far as an accomplishment is concerned in the field of making television, it's pretty impressive. It's just incredibly unethical.
Not gonna lie, that would be a really fun job, like to be, you know, like, I mean, I would never do, like, I could never bring myself to do it.
I'd be like, yo, this ain't real, you know that, right?
Like, if I was in that situation and like had to like be the director and like I basically like the creator of this show, like that would be a pretty cool thing to come to work to every day.
It's a giant sandbox, and everyone's your toy. You know, like you are playing God. Like that's literally what you get to do when you come to work. You get to go to work and go, this is what every person will be doing.
I mean, I always like, because they had like the same loop every day. And I kind of wondered why they did that. Whether it was just to make it easier, you know, like it's just harder to change something every single day. So they have like constant, like everything always happens. The lady walking by with flowers, and then the guy on the bike, and then the beetle with the dent or whatever, that happens all the time. And then like he goes to work the same every time he grabs the magazine, he gets to work, stopped by the twins, product placement, walking in the door. And I always wondered why it was a loop. Or if that was necessary, or because I felt like part of the movie they mentioned like they couldn't wipe his memory or something like that.
Yeah, because there's one of the viewers. He's holding on to Sylvia's like shirt, and is like and she's like they could write her off, they could take her out of the show, but they couldn't erase the memory. And
that's what it was. Okay, I took it very literally. Like they could actually erase his memory if need be. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, is he getting every time he goes to sleep? Is he like getting some things reset or whatever?
I'm willing to bet that the routine is a psychological tactic to make him more comfortable. Just kind of and it's kind of a thin line though, because if he catches on like he does, it's a good tell that stuff's not right. But nothing's more comfortable than routine. So True. It's like if nothing's ever surprising him necessarily, and if nothing ever changes and he's perfectly happy, he's like, what's the question? It's not until he longs for more, until he's like, I got to go somewhere else.
Wait a minute. I didn't even realize, like, the way he eventually escaped, the fake sleeping and then, like, got out that hole. Mm-hmm. He was digging that hole for quite some time, right? Because, like, he was lawnmowering over a thing that was, like, a circular hole or something like that. I'm remembering, like, back. And maybe his wife was like, hey, honey, you missed a spot or something like that. Like early on. And then he goes, I don't know if that was like, did he do that all in one night? Was that one night that he did that? Or was he like planning his escape for a while?
I'm willing. That's interesting, because there are those little seeds that would indicate to you that like, I'd be willing to bet maybe he starts that as soon as he starts to question. Like he started spending a lot more time down there in general. However, I don't know how he would have ever had the freedom to do that. It was the one night that he was kind of able to do it that he did it.
That's true. I remember he was mowing his lawn, and it was like a very circular, like
a very odd spot that he just kept going over.
Yeah,
and it was like
don't know what like. I don't know if I'm like, I don't know how long before that was, before he escaped and stuff like that. But man, I'm oh yeah, you won't be able to see it all. It's gonna black it out. But yeah, I wonder if how long, if he was planning this for a while, or if it was just truly that one night that he did all of this, which is fully still capable. I feel like he could still do that all.
Not quite the mile long hole that Andy needed to dig in Shawshank.
That's
just right up to the yard.
Their escapes are like oddly similar. Like the movie, even though they're vastly different and ask crazy to bring up way different questions, they're both in prison. Pretty much. I mean, Truman's is a much, much larger prison that he's unaware of. Andy knows he's in prison. But they both escape. They both do crazy things to, fake sleep, and
they're both dehumanized.
It's eerily similar. And I mean, I guess it makes for great film, because those two movies are, they're in my top 10. That's for sure. I can't think of like other movies that the ending has been so satisfying.
It's that Morgan Freeman talks about it in Shawshank, and in his monologue towards the end, in his narration, where he says, like there's this anticipation and this anxiousness about what's to come that only a free man can feel. And it's like, that's what's so fulfilling about these characters getting to a place where they are free of what has binded them. You know, it's, to reference a superhero movie, it's what makes the ending of Captain Marvel satisfying. Whenever she breaks loose of the Supreme Intelligence, smashes that shit, and is like, you're not in control of me anymore. You know, like you can't be fucking with me like that no more. And
sorry, I always look at the trivia on IMDb for these movies because and it's usually there's some cool stuff on there, and it's just cool that Ed Harris never met Jim Carrey while filming. They like separated them on purpose, which is just cool.
Oh yeah,
like cool just to think about. But
there's that a bottle of vitamin D on the counter at the beginning because they don't have any actual sunlight.
This makes perfect sense that Jim Carrey was the first choice out of any actor. We were talking about this that no, like I can't think of another person that could fill this role.
Oh no.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I literally was trying to just run through actors like that we've seen previously, and I'm like, no. I'm like, this is this is Jim Carrey's role. This is how I will remember Jim Carrey now. At least like until I see something more. I don't know if
this is my top one Jim Carrey movie. There's pretty much no doubt. Followed closely by Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, or not so closely, but definitely second there. I absolutely loved it.
There's not many movies that give you an experience like this. I don't know, like even like Marvel movies and stuff, like you get excited and the excitement is there. You're seeing all these crazy things happen on screen and stuff. But not many movies get you to question things and like truly feel for someone that is a character, you know, a movie within a movie, you know, kind of. You know, we're watching this movie. It's a TV show within a movie, within a fake reality. Like, well, you know, it's like meta, super meta. Whenever you think about it, but I don't know. This is a different. It has a different vein to it. Like this is a different category of movie.
It's so extremely meta that this movie was. I don't know how you define most of the shots early on in the movie. I'd say it felt like commercials, very purposely. You know, there's a point in the movie where they're like, "Yeah, we make a lot of our money because literally everything you see is for sale."
That's the houses, even like the
houses,
wardrobe,
every single thing they're wearing, the pieces of furniture, everything is for sale.
I was wondering, partly through the movie, I'm like, wait a minute, like, how are they making money here? Like, I know that these ad placements are here and all, but like, yeah, there are no commercials, and it only is these little just hot chocolate and just a knife, grater, peeler, and like, I'm like, really, like, this is how they're like funding all this? And then like they get into the explanation of like, oh no, everything's for sale, and the whole world's obsessed. Like you see those two that old couple, you know, the two old ladies, and they have the Truman pillow, the plates in the background, like everything in their house is Truman. And like the world is just truly obsessed with this man. I mean, like
30 years running this show.
Yeah, 100 and what? How many 100 or 10,909? Yeah, like that's how many days it's been running for. Just then, like I saw that number, like in the bar above the TV, you know, and they shows that really early on, and I'm like, oh my god, wait a minute, like from birth, like this has been because I like the math that's just how the math works out. Like it's only 365 days in a year, and I'm like, wait a minute, like
the movie starts with day 10,909,
and I'm like, oh, like I had I don't know how many times my mind was blank, even knowing that from birth, and then hearing like the explanation showing like him in the womb, and all that. And then my mind still is like blown there. Like, I don't know how many times I just like, what? Like, my brain is fried, right now.
Jeez.
But
it's
my
just
God.
such a good damn movie.
Man. I didn't even think about the moon not moving, that it's just always there until you brought that up. Like,
always there.
It was always there and he just didn't, like, he doesn't know. And
that's just how his moon has always looked. But another one like that, whenever he wakes up in the morning and draws the astronaut on there, and that's the day he breaks out by the end of it. And I love that, he's purposefully teasing them. He goes, hello? Hello? Mr. Burbank. And he he does his whole thing, and then they look away and start taking their notes, and he winks at the camera and goes, that one's for free. And I was like, okay, Truman.
He knows. Smarter than they give him credit, for. Which is like, God, to watch someone from birth and then eventually figure out that their entire reality is fake. Like,
dude, that scene, whenever he runs the boat into the wall and he walks up to that point, there's not tangible evidence of what he thinks might be happening. And then he touches the wall with his hand and he immediately breaks. He's like, that was the line, like that was the one where it was like, so it really, all of it is fake. None of it's real. And like that, and he breaks down, and bro, that shit, that makes me cry every time I watch it. And
like, was he punching it, and was it was there no sound during that? I can't remember if there was, like, if it completely cut out the sound or if you could actually hear it.
I think it might have cut out the sound, because I think the score during that moment's really strong.
But I mean, I was crying. I mean, I don't really remember exactly, because I was like, oh man, he's right. He's actually there. He got to the, like, after, like, he almost dies, and he's like, you're going to have to kill me. Like, there's nothing you can do. Like, I'm not stopping.
I mean, how could anyone expect him to carry on in those conditions? It's unprofessional. Whenever Meryl says that, I'm just like, you fucking hypocrite.
Oh yeah, and she's like, do something, and he's like, who you talking to?
Yeah, exactly.
What? Like,
and then Marlon walks in and she like runs to him and hugs him, and she's like, how, like, that question, how can anyone expect me to carry on under these conditions? How do you expect Truman to carry on under these conditions? How do you not think that?
And how could you like fake love someone like that?
She's like, I know she's an actress and it's a job. Kristoff, evil A, Meryl, evil B, bro. Like,
I felt like the one kind of only guy that had anything redeeming was
Marlon.
Fuck, I knew it was an M. I'm getting there.
If it helps, they're all named after movie stars. Meryl Streep, Marlon Brando. Yeah.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, Marlon. But yeah, Marlon had a few moments, and I'm like, I felt like there was something even romantic a little bit between the two. Like, I mean, like, I know they're sharing beers as boys, that's what the vibe you're getting. But like, I felt like I don't know. Like, I guess, he said, like, you're the closest thing I have to a brother. Like, I guess, but that was him being told to say that.
Yeah, it's an interesting, it's an interesting take, because I see a bit of confliction in Marlon, but the thing that ultimately seals the deal for me and him being, I mean, like, you can't have agreed to do this and be the best dude, you know what I'm saying? And whenever he's like leading the search.
That's true. Yeah.
For Truman.
Yeah.
Like he called, like, he's like, he looks at the camera, he's like, I don't know where to go. Like, I don't know where the fuck this guy is. Like, I don't know. It's just
damn. But I don't know, that one moment where he's like, the last thing I would do to lie is lie to you. He like choked up for a second. You know, he's like he almost broke in that moment. I feel like he was like, this might be too far.
And that's an interesting way to take it, because I took it as Marlon was trying to get his Emmy.
Okay. Okay. That's
the people who are acting in it are acting their asses off.
They're on.
You know,
I mean, the whole world's watching. Duh. Like, it's not. I always think it's just them watching Truman. You know, but they're characters. Like, they're like, this is. Oh my! I didn't.
He's going for a best supporting actor.
Think
nod.
about that. Oh my God! I mean, that was his moment. Yeah, that was like.
It absolutely is. As far as the acting is
that's
concerned,
definitely what it is now. Yeah, because it doesn't make real sense. You know, if he almost breaks there, and then like the search, he's just like,
well, because it's Christoph telling him what to say in his ear too. Like he's like, "Is lie to you," and he goes, "Is lie to you," and it's fuck, man. And it ultimately winning Truman over for a second. You know, not for long. You know, Truman's too steadfast, and you know, Christoph did say it. You know, like there's nothing actually keeping him here. If he was determined enough to try and get out, he would. There's nothing we could do to stop him.
Well,
and it's like, well, that's not quite true. You've done quite a bit to try and stop him. As
traumatized him from early on in life, fear of
traumatized him early on from birth. Anytime he's actually tried
completely.
to leave the island, you block him from being able to do so, literally with traffic in some cases.
Yeah, even like whenever he has before he even questions his reality, really. He's given like a job assignment on a distant island or whatever. He's like, no, I have a dentist appointment, you know, like he does, like, even then, you know, he's not going, and he's walking to the boat. He sees the boat in the water that's sunk, you know, and he's like, fuck, can't do that. Nope. Going right back. Like every step of the way, like they did everything in their power to stop that man from leaving. That nuclear, and that, like, whenever that nuclear leak, and the guy like called him by name, and he's like,
"Of course, Truman," and he's like, "Truman,"
and that's when he starts to run. And I don't know.
And that's that's the single most dystopian scene for me. Like, as far as what would have like probably scared him the most was whenever he's trying to escape. The bridge lights up in flames. He drives right through it. They set up a whole nuclear plant for him. He just has a normal conversation with a guy, and then a guy calls him by his name, a man he's never presented his name to. He runs, and he's chased by men in these hazmat suits and is like tackled to the ground, and he's screaming and stuff like that. That's a hard scene, dude. That's
and whenever he goes up to Marlon, and he's like restocking the, you know, his vending machine. It's right after he sees the false wall, and he's like, I don't know if they're following me. You know, he turns around, claps to do something spontaneous. He's like, who? What do they look like? He's like, well, they're just like normal people, you know, like how, like, it's set up in a way to just make him seem insane whenever he's saying these things, you know, like, oh, normal people are following you around. Like, you just seem a little paranoid, Truman, you know, like everything could just be explained.
They gaslight the fuck out of this man.
I can't think of a more extreme case of gaslighting than the Truman Show here.
It's pretty heavy-handed, man. I don't know that there's a bigger example of it.
This was the second love interest, right?
Yes,
that's who she was.
Vivian.
Okay, it just clicked. Sorry to completely switch
Vivian
there,
was no, but I wanted to bring it back to Sylvia for a little bit. You know, that storyline where the day he meets his future wife, he actually fell for another woman, and he's been longing for her ever since. And whenever she takes him down to the beach and they embrace, they kiss, it's his first kiss, and it's this whole thing, and she tells him the truth, tells him everything, lays it out for him, and she's like, they're coming for me. It'll be here soon. And you know what they tell him? She's schizophrenic. She's crazy. So if you start experiencing these sorts of things too, you're crazy too. And there's even a moment in the movie too where he's listening to the radio, and someone says like, You do this enough, it'll make you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
and it's completely normal.
God.
Don't think anything of it, like,
yeah.
And I mean, whenever he does hear like the true radio, like their frequency, a little bit. What caused that to happen, by the way? How did he?
I think it was probably just a mechanical malfunction.
Oh yeah, because everyone stopped for a second.
Was like,
I remember, yeah, and okay, that's right.
But but when you see him at the beginning, he's like, I want to go to Fiji. That seems like a great place. You see us right here. We're on the other side, as far away as you can get before you start coming back around. And you see that flashback later, and her dad's packing Sylvia into the car, and she's like, "Where are you going? Where are you going?" Fiji. We're moving to Fiji, and it's like, oh my God,
no, she's not in Fiji. Like. God, man. And what would have they went to Fiji in my mind, that I feel like he met, he got she found him, or I'm assuming she found him, because there's no way, I don't know how he's gonna find her. He doesn't know anything that's out there in the real world. I would love to see is there a sequel to this? I there's no continuation to the story, is there? Whenever he's actually
out. This is
yeah, I didn't think so.
This is it.
But just to see his character experience the real world for the first time, his first moments. I am full well with how it ended. And I think it was beautiful the way it was the whole point of how of what the movie was supposed to do. But just of how beautiful it would be for him to see a real sunset. Or for him to see a city, a true city, and him be like, holy, what the fuck is that? Or a plane, or all these little things that he has zero clue of, that he would go out and be like, oh my, what? I just imagine, as I'm bawling my eyes out at the end, I'm imagining just them in Fiji, and him watching a real sunset for the first time, and just her explaining everything, this is how it really is, or I could just,
and he's gonna be able to go to Fiji because this man's about to cash a check on these motherfuckers.
I feel like he doesn't have to pay a cent for anything. He goes anywhere, he gets what he wants. He's the most famous man.
He's the most famous man in the world.
And I feel like anyone would do anything for him. Anyone, I feel like, he can't live a normal life is the thing. That's kind of the sad thing, is that
he'll walk out of there and he will be the most famous man alive, and he's never known that. Which is interesting. But but maybe there's something to the quick attention span. People move on.
What else is on TV? All right, let's see. And I was like,
yeah, let's see what else is on. Where's the TV guy?
I think I punched my pillow a few times. I got angry. I'm like, fuck. I'm like, God damn it. No. I was crying, and then I'm mad, and then I'm like, no. And then I'm like, oh, I didn't even get to see him meet her. And I didn't get to see them embrace, whatever. But I'm calm down, realize what just happened, and everything. And I'm like, this is one of the best movies I've ever seen.
Oh, dude, it's so fucking good. Who are you? I am the creator of a television show that gives hope and joy and inspiration to millions. And there's a really emphasized pause between I am the creator and the rest of the sentence, which I think is obviously purposeful. Then who am I? You're the star. And the whole, was nothing real? You were real. That's what made you so good to watch. It's fuck.
He says, Christoph's I know you better than yourself. And he's like, nah, you've never had a camera in my head. You still, even though you've controlled every aspect of my life, you've watched me every second. You still don't know what I want, what I truly want. And him, coming to that realization, knowing that, he's about to be free. He's there, he's done it, he's broken out, and he knows it too. Good morning, good evening, and good night. What a way to end it there. Like, I was thinking like what he was going to say, and like it was obvious, I feel like, but I didn't.
Say something, you're on television. And he turns and he goes, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Oh, it's good afternoon.
Takes a bow.
Not good morning.
He walks right on out. Like, that was the best possible ending to this movie. I almost would have been fine with it if they just cut to black on that. Like,
say
we just
something
ended
and it's just
the movie.
Mm.
And he just like turns around, walks out the door into blackness, and then we fade to black. Like, I would have been okay with that. And, I do love seeing Sylvia get real excited, put on her coat, and run down the stairs like she's going to go meet him. And it's like, oh, this is just precious, and God, it was so damn good. It was so damn good. And yeah, definitely a top 10 favorite movie of all time for me. There's pretty much no doubt.
Yeah, the poster's going up on my wall. So I feel like I don't think The Batman is maybe a top 10 movie of all time for me. It's part of my poster. Part of the poster thing is it has to look cool for one, and it has to, I guess have an impact on my life. And Spider-Man and Batman, whether they're not the best films of all time, they've just been my childhood, and I love them to death. So they have to go up on my wall.
I think the Batman will prove itself to be amongst that.
The
top 10 for me. I'll have to remove myself from recency bias. I'll have to give that some time before I fairly evaluate it as far as top 10 favorites is concerned.
I guess it is just
favorite. Right now, yeah. Truman Show bumps that shit right off.
If it is just a favorite movie, I guess it doesn't have to be critically great. Whatever. It's just my favorite movie. I don't
exactly. Yeah, it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the best movie. Fuck, man, Spaceballs could be one of your favorite movies.
I was literally just thinking that. Yeah, like I guess some people really do like Spaceballs. There's probably some Spaceballs super fans out there that go crazy for that. I don't know. You do you, man. If that's you, more power to you. I mean, we gave it a 2.17 out of average. But that's not the point of the movie.
Hey, it's not the point of the movie. Great. But if we're talking enjoyment for the Truman Show, that's a perfect 5. There's essentially no doubt there. Out of 5 stars, it's 5 stars. It's
I don't have anything else to say there. I can't give this any less than a 5 for enjoyment. Still, I'll say it again. I can't believe it took me this long to see this movie in my life, but I am so glad that I have seen it now, and I will watch it infinitely many times. I love that it. I'm right there. 5 out of 5.
And you take a peek, and what are the last 3 5s now with the Truman Show?
Bink,
Good Will Hunting,
Bink,
and Shawshank. God damn, those were some good fucking movies, man.
Hey, Good Will, he had to go see about a girl. Truman had to go see about a girl. I guess
all the best ending.
Andy, his girl no longer alive and all.
Hey, but Red, he had to go see about a guy.
There we go. They're all just so great. Man, what a great stretch of movies that we've had here.
Man, it's been fantastic. And I've appreciated the happy endings with Good Will Hunting and the Truman Show coming off of Train Spotting and 7, because those were rough as far as endings go.
That is true. Nice to have this change of pace. Some good,
good endings where we're like, yeah, you're going on to good things. Yeah.
Really, I'm just thinking forward, to the genre category, and like it's comedy is in here. Yes, Jim Carrey. I guess probably just because Jim Carrey's in it, people think.
Well, and
I guess there are some funny, aspects to it.
There's enough stuff in it that is comedic, that I think it definitely falls under the drama comedy. But beyond that, I feel like there's something else going on here, like with the dystopia sort of thing going on.
Like mystery is almost like. I don't know, is that a genre really? I don't know, like
mystery
drama
genre.
kind of covers it. But
this one's
encompassing.
This one's such
genre.
a weird one, and as far as a drama comedy is concerned, it's pretty fucking good.
Would you say this is
is
required viewing for film? I mean, if
for my money, yeah. I think if you're going to sit down and watch a movie, you ought to watch The Truman Show. That's something you should get around to at some point. But when I think of it like the way we had Shawshank Redemption as required viewing, it's not that level of required viewing. Like, you have to watch Shawshank. You can take your time to get around to The Truman Show in comparison. You need to watch Shawshank as soon as possible. And we gave that a 5 in the genre. So I don't think The Truman Show quite ekes out the 5 in the genre category, but I think it's probably on par with Good Will Hunting. In that 4.75 realm, where it's like, you know what? I don't know what more we could have done here. If it had all the best elements, it had this mystery, it had love, it had romance, had some comedy. It was a nice genre blender. And for that, I think it deserves some love. 4.75 feels fair.
Yeah, 5 did feel too high. Like, when I'm thinking of Shawshank, like, it's kind of unfair to compare like Truman Show and well, I guess not truly unfair, but the point of the Truman Show isn't just to be a great film, and like, that's not really. I mean, it was more for the mind blowing, more for the consumerism, more for those sort of things, and the way it was filmed too. You had the hidden cameras, like, it was just, it's different. Like, it's not just one innovative film camera that's the same the whole movie. It's constantly changing and stuff, and that's the whole point. So I guess it's kind of in a different realm, all in its own.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
But yeah, 4.75. I definitely feel comfortable for the genre there. And this, critically as a film, is I'm interested, like, to see where you're at on this, because you've seen it multiple times. I have only seen this once.
Yeah. Right. I'm pretty high on this critically. I'll hit all the check boxes I usually do. Soundtrack. This is one that's on that movie and TV soundtracks playlist I have, and pops up in my Receiptify every month. There's something from the Truman Show that's in there usually. It absolutely slaps. Jim Carrey kills it. Ed Harris, fantastic. Even Laura Linney and Noah Amerlich, I think is like his name or something like that. So whoever plays Marlon. They all did a really good job, Noah Emmerich. They all did a fantastic job acting, and the story unfolds exactly exactly as it should. I don't think there's anything that's like wish they would have done this differently, wish they would have revealed this to me differently. No, I think they did it exactly how they wanted to, exactly how they were supposed to. And that's really the key here for this movie, is that I think it was executed exactly as it was envisioned to be executed. Like, obviously these hidden camera shots aren't mind-blowing. They're not like, wow, this is beautiful, you got to see this. But that wasn't the point of it. The point of it was for it to be a hidden camera shot, and
it's beautiful in its own way.
In its own way, and it's so hard to judge a movie critically when it did what I feel is exactly what it wanted to do. Because I can't imagine there's too much or anything that Peter Weir or Jim Carrey or anybody involved in the making of this looks back on and goes, wish we'd done that differently.
Yeah, I can't think of one gripe that I do have with the movie. Like, I wouldn't want it to be shot more beautifully or whatever. Like, that's just not the point. That's not like,
obviously I'd invite, and the shots that we do get that are beautiful. The shot that shot at the end of him climbing the stairs and him walking along the wall, it's impressive filmmaking, pretty much all the way through.
I guess
so this is a conflicting one, because it's like We could check out the film score and see where we feel it falls.
I don't know.
Which doesn't feel right to put it alongside the 4 9s.
I don't think, it goes with The Godfather. Shawshank is a little above there.
I think it falls right alongside Peter Weir's other work, Dead Poets, at a 4.8.
I like that, because definitely I feel better than 7.
Certainly. And I feel better than part 2, Boys in the Hood. But, that 4.8 category, Dead Poets, Forrest Gump, Good Will Hunting, The Truman Show, I think it slides right alongside it there in really impressive fashion. So I think I got to go 4.8 for The Truman Show overall. And it brings it to the exact same score as Good Will Hunting last week. In every category, identical.
Wow. I mean, I guess I think I like The Truman Show more than Good Will Hunting, just because of the fact that this movie is just more me, more up my alley. Right. But if I'm thinking of just comparing the two films without my, what's the word? Bias. Yeah, without any bias. Like, these are two films that I hold very, very equally. They
very
both,
similar.
They both affected me in very different ways, but
both very profound.
Oh yeah, and 4.85. I mean that's fitting for me.
It's the only other 4.85 movie alongside Good Will Hunting in the overall ratings. Just below Jurassic Park, just above Godfather Part 2. Yeah, buddy, that feels good. The Truman Show's right where it belongs.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, I'm very happy with where it is. Just makes sense. I don't know. I think this rating system just it just keeps proving itself.
As it always does. And of the Peter Weir works, Dead Poets Society does end up prevailing in the overall rating, just because I think we gave it a little bit of a boost in that genre category, or maybe it was just how well it was written. But goddamn, this was a damn good movie, and I'm happy with where it's ended up here. At a 4.85 out of 5 stars, feels good. But with that, we conclude our episode covering The Truman Show and our 52-year journey through film. We're through 98. We've got 1 year left in the 90s.
Wow.
It's 1999 next week, and we are discussing The Matrix. That's another big one. We're getting into these defining movies of our lifetime. And we got such a different perspective of these movies than we did the ones prior to us, thinking back to the 70s, like with A Clockwork Orange, and movies like that, Apocalypse Now and 36 Chamber of Shaolin. I have a vast unfamiliarity compared to The Matrix and Gladiator and Training Day and movies like this. I hear about those a lot more given our lifetime.
These 90 awards are about to go insane.
Yes, of course. I forgot after we wrap up The Matrix next week, we've got to do the 90s awards. And obviously with 6 extra movies for the year 1994, the competition will be a little bit more stout than the other years.
Wow.
Very much so. Look forward to the 90s awards. But before then, we're doing The Matrix. And I'm very excited about that. That'll be next Friday. And hell yeah. I was Colton Robertson. I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, it is always a pleasure to be here. And thank you for letting me watch this movie. Thank you for getting me to watch this movie finally.
Oh, dude, I'm so glad you have, because it's one of the greats. It's one of the greats. I have very little doubt in my mind. But yeah, if you would head to patreon.com/CoroBloom, COROBLOOM, where you'll find over 24 hours of exclusive content. We've also got a bunch of artwork that I put up over there, not available anywhere else. All that money goes back into making sure I can put this podcast on. So that's huge for me. And if you would, head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.